All right, let's now welcome child rights activist Joan van Niekerk, who joins us via video link to weigh in on this crisis. Joan, great having you with us. A very good afternoon to you. So firstly, the fact that the rights of these children, because these are children, are basically being stripped away. What do you make of the recent increase on teen pregnancies at school? I mean, 4,000 cases in one province alone. That is overwhelmingly shocking.
It's very, very concerning. And I was listening to some of these mothers and grandmothers talking about the crisis, and they are absolutely right. Although we have a school learner policy in this country, it totally interrupts the education of the girl child. Lots of these children never go back to school. Of concern also is that if children are not using contraception, especially condoms, they're also at far greater risk of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. Mm-hmm. So it is a very, very concerning issue, and I think it is time for us to put our heads together in the children's field and really look for solutions that are effective and not just talk shop. We have a school learner policy on pregnancy, but unfortunately the activities were very girl-child focused, and obviously it takes two to make a baby. And unless we begin to involve boys and men in seeking solutions to schoolgirl pregnancies, we're not going to be able to deal with this. Yes, sex with a child under the age of 16 is illegal, but try and report that to a police station where the police just turn you away and say, yes, but it was your boyfriend, or you consented, or whatever. It's really difficult to report teenage pregnancy in this country and for there to be a kind of a just outcome for the girl child. There are several things I think we should do. I think we need to do a lot more work with women in communities in terms of talking to children about sex, sexuality, the responsibilities of having a child. I also believe that in the Eastern Cape, because we still see the payment of damages seen as a solution to the problem of teenage pregnancy, what we need to do is involve our traditional leaders. We need to help them, help community members to be responsible about their sexual behavior, both boys and girls. It's all very well to organize damages for families in which the girl has fallen pregnant. That benefits the child not at all. And in actual fact, where it's used as a way of not reporting to the judicial authorities, persuading a family not to report to the judicial authorities, then of course this is illegal because we're obliged to report.
Absolutely.
Look, the school health program.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes, I just want, sorry to interject there, because I think you've covered mostly what I wanted to follow up on my previous question. But I mean, this is still a reality. Black communities, in black communities, even today, talking about sexual education or practice or the healthy related issues thereof, or being sexually active in this regard with your elders or parents is actually not a common behavior. So many parents and guardians, especially in rural or underdeveloped areas, which is actually where the bulk number of these incidents actually take place, are actually said not to be properly informed about or even aware of what the basis of statutory rape actually entails and means. So how would you respond to this? And where can they then acquire the relevant as well as necessary knowledge so as to know when to take action and report a rape? I mean, these kids are as young as 10 years old, and that is outright a statutory rape, as you've pointed out.
Well, it's not even statutory rape. It's actually rape, pure and simple, because children under the age of 12 cannot consent to any sexual activity. So that is even much more serious than sex with a child between the ages of 12 and 16. Yes, I think we need community talk shops on this issue in both rural and urban areas. And indeed, it's not just unique to the African family. I think there are many other cultures and even in other situations where families find this very difficult. I hate to use the racist terms, but even in white communities, in many families, there's a lot of difficulty talking about sex and sexuality and pregnancy and those issues. I think we need community talk shops. I think we need our traditional leaders to actually take some leadership on this issue. I think we need to have far more discussion around this in schools when children reach the age of puberty. And we need to include boys, and we need the school health system, that the health department, when it comes into schools, to see this as they share the responsibility as well. You see, I don't believe there's one solution to this problem. I think we've got to work together as a unified society to deal with the issue of teenage pregnancy. We also need, and this is a problem in the Western Cape, it's a poor province. It's characterized by poverty, unemployment, and so on. And one of the issues is many young people feel, I've got no future. And so involving themselves in sexual behavior that is risky and runs the risk of not just pregnancy, but sexually transmitted illnesses as well. For them, well, what else? There's nothing else for me in this province. So we also need to give children, both boys and girls, a very clear sense of future and how important their education is. Children need to dream about their future, where you're in a province in which, you know, your standard of education might be poor or poorer as compared to other provinces, where unemployment is high, poverty is high. Children do not have that sense of future. So all of us need to work together on this particular issue. It's not the school's responsibility. It's certainly not the girl child's responsibility.
You know, Joan,
so we need to work together.
Yes, absolutely, Joan. A very quick one. I'm running out of time very fast. And I know, I mean, you've covered the role or the purported role of the Department of Basic Education and what it should be. So, I mean, back to your earlier point there, that it's, you know, racial or whatever reasons that, you know, a lot of people or teenagers do not talk about their sexual activity as well as behavior. So how would then studies like your family planning, as suggested by some, I think it was actually the teachers that we saw in the insert saying that family planning needs to be prioritized in some of these schools. But I mean, we also know it's largely religious as well as cultural reasons as well that, you know, these kids just seemingly cannot talk about issues of sexual behavior. So if you introduce such a subject in a school, how are you going to reach the majority of the kids who cannot partake because they are of a certain faith or because of certain cultural background and reasons?
Absolutely. I think parents who object to sexuality education are doing their children a huge disservice, because children need to know that sexual behavior has consequences that can, well, for many children, reach across a lifetime. Those young teenage parents are parents for life. It's a lifetime responsibility to have a child. Your children grow up, but they still need to come back home and consult with their parents on all sorts of issues. The other thing that we have made a grave mistake on in this country is we have, and I think this is often driven by donors and funders, we have focused on the girl child in this country. we have actually neglected our boy children. So boys need to be part of this education process. They need to know, if I father a child, that child is my child for the rest of my life. I have responsibilities. I have to make sure that I'm able to contribute to the care and support of that child. It's not something that I have the right to walk away from.